Perfect. Well, I think we are gonna go ahead and kick this off. We have a great session today. I'm super excited. Um, I'm Axel. I'm with Operto. I'm actually gonna hop off camera, and you're not gonna see me for the next 45 minutes. I'm just here to make sure that everything is running smoothly. I'm gonna let these fantastic gentlemen from Check-in do the talking. You do talk to me at Operto, I run solutions engineering, which means that I look at tech stacks and how they all fit together, which is super fun. Come and chat with me sometime. Um, I'm serious, by the way. I'm not being sarcastic. But the gentleman we have on the call today is Gabriel Coachman, head of growth for Check-in, and we also got Eris. I'm not going to even attempt your last name. I apologize. But
Don't worry.
head of strategic accounts. We're going to hear some great stories from these guys. Check-in is so cool, you guys. This is going to be a great session. It's a banger. We're going to hear all about how we make check-ins automated and compliant, and I love it. I've been a fan for such a long time. I can't wait for the session myself. I've only seen a sneak peek preview, so I'm going to be at the edge of my seat. Um, Bit of a housekeeping note just before we get started here. This session is being recorded. Yes, we are sharing it after the call. Don't worry. So if you have to hop off, I don't want to see you hopping off, but if you do, we're going to share. There is a Q&A section somewhere. If you figure out Zoom, then you can find your Q&A section. Ask questions. We'd love to see them. We are going to talk about them, promise. We're going to cover them all, and we can follow up with you and all that sort of stuff. So fire up your questions. There's also going to be a little resource tab, I think, with some information. And you can obviously find our websites as well, Operto and Check-in online. And also, finally, throughout this show, we're going to have a few polls popping up. They're going to be really fun because we'll be able to tell a little bit about how you guys are experiencing these issues that we're talking about today, so we can actually target the conversation a little bit further as we go. So feel free to interact. All right, from there, I'm going to hand it over to Gabriel. Kick it off.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for the intro. Um,
Yep.
so Adis and myself, I think to make this a little bit more dynamic and more entertaining for everyone here with us tonight, we're gonna try to split the conversation. So a little bit you, a little bit myself. We can kind of
Yep.
pitch in on comments of each other. So yeah, before we get started, just a little bit of the agenda, which was already mentioned. So just some of the topics we're gonna go through today. And then at the end, of course, we'll have a Q&A. We'll have the polls throughout, which should be pretty cool. And then we'll share some resources as well from our side that hopefully will help you guys. We have country-specific resources. You know, if anyone is looking into market expansion into some countries in Europe, got other countries where we're present as well. And then yeah, we'll be here for any questions. We can follow up after, and let's get to it. So I don't know if Adis, you want to start, give a little brief overview
Yep.
of check-in, and then we go from there.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So, good evening or good afternoon once again, everyone. So, let me present first of all Check-in. So, Check-in is a software solution which is helping you to automate your check-ins and overall digitalize your guest experience, both for hotels, short-term rentals, and vacation rentals. We have around 150,000 properties under check-in. We have many, many partners, as you can see from this slide. Yeah, thank you, Gabriel. Okay, so overall, check-in is presented in more than 45 countries. As you can see here on the world map, we are covering pretty much the whole Europe, Australia, Northern and Southern America, and also some countries in GCC region, in Gulf area.
Yeah, just a quick comment here. Something that's pretty cool is that we've reached about 1 million check-ins per month mark. So we can see here we have the mark of 25 million check-ins completed, but that number is rapidly growing, which is
Oh,
pretty cool.
well.
Yeah. So Maybe if we do this webinar again in a couple weeks, Laris, we'll have to update the numbers here.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's just a little quick intro. Of course, we'll get into more details later, but I guess the first point is a little bit of the guest registration and the legal compliance part, which is, I would
My
say,
favorite part.
yeah, it's like one of the cores of check-in, right? So, of course, we're a guest experience software. We're focused on the check-ins, but one of the main pains that we solve is streamlining this guest reporting across various countries. So yeah. So before we jump into a few countries and get into the detail, I think we can maybe run the first poll and see a little bit of what the people have to say before we get started. So here it is. You guys should have seen a pop-up there on your screen with the first question, which would be how confident are you with your current compliance in regards to guest registration laws? And then, of course, I assume some people will manage properties just in one country. Some people will be in various countries. So, of course, this varies for each of you. But yeah, let us know your answers to this, and then we can kind of gear the speech a little bit based on what you guys say. So I don't know, we can give a couple more seconds here for people to answer, and then
Yeah.
carry on. Cool, cool, cool. I had never done these polls before, so let's see how it goes. Yeah. Okay. I think time is up. So we have here, Aris, about 15% of the people have said they are very confident. 17% have said somewhat confident. About 15% said no idea. And where we got most answers were not confident, meaning that we're, probably missing something, which is,
Missing something.
yes, good for us in terms of the first piece of content we're going to share here. So
Yeah,
thank you guys for answering. I'll give the word to you, Aris, if you want to start. Maybe we
please.
start we'll go a little bit country by country, very high level, and then we'll share some resources with all the details.
Sure.
So you can start with Spain.
Perfect. So let's start with Spain. Overall, Spain is probably one of the most regulated countries around the world. So in Spain, guests, and specifically depending on where they are located, the major percentage have to report to CES Hospedajes, which is like the um, general infrastructure or
Yeah.
member which is responsible for the reporting. However, for the properties located in Basque Country and Catalonia, the property managers have to report to the specific police departments for those states, for those autonomous regions. On the other side, property managers have to send on a monthly basis their general report to INE. And there is also a requirement to generate the entry form, which is, I believe, applying to pretty much all the European countries nowadays. Yeah, but so the general
Quick comment
rules
here,
would
Ali.
be
Sorry to
go
cut you.
ahead.
The CES Hospedajes platform, which was recently released right in Spain, it was
Yeah,
made official just last December, so a few months old. So people were scrambling here just to figure out how it works. So it was cool to have check-in being a big player here in the country, helping people set that up. It's like I would say it's kind of like the platform that the Ministry of the Interior here in Spain uses, right? So they kind of gather all the data in one place. So that's the reason why they launched it, to kind of centralize everything. And then, like Aris mentioned, just a few regions, Catalonia, País Vasco, which are different regions of Spain, they still have one extra layer of step. But of course, the information at the end of the day goes to the same place. So uh,
yeah.
we're connected with all of them, right? But yeah, it gets a little picky depending on the country and the region. So it's cool to see that. So yeah, no, carry on.
Yeah, the key thing I would like to mention about the reporting within the first 24 hours,
Yeah.
there are some cases when there is a reservation, guests did the check-in, then for some reason they don't show up. So with check-in, they can also confidently manage it and be compliant. So we are able to help even in this aspect of the things.
Mhm.
Could you please change the slide?
Yeah. So high level of Spain, and then we can jump into Italy. So you guys can kind of see the differences of, even though it's all the European Union, each country has their peculiarities, no?
Yeah. So speaking about Italy, so we have to report to Alloggiati Web, which is again the national portal, pretty much as Ses Hospedajes. Nonetheless, the property managers also have to report or to submit their data to Istat, which is the Italian National Statistics Institute. Again, the gas data need to be sent within 24 hours. I would like to mention here that check-in here has a very huge impact in terms of also the mandatory tax collections with which we are helping. And on the other side, host must keep the 5 years, within 5 years, all the gas data, apart from doing the previous compliance, if I may say so.
Kind of like a trend across some of the countries, right? The
Yeah.
short period to report every day, keeping the data stored, and things like that. Just a comment. The difference here with Italy to Spain is that the Istats, right, which are the Institute of Statistics, each region in Italy has a different one, right? So Spain is divided into 27 autonomous communities, they call it. And all of them use Ses Hospedajes, except the three that Aris mentioned, which are Catalunya, the País Vasco, that they have an extra step, which then send the information to Ses Hospedajes. In Italy, each of the 20 regions in Italy has a different Istat. So in Italy, it's even more complicated and personalized than in Spain. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. So cool. That would be Italy, and we just want to mention one more country, and then we'll kind of just high level show a list of everything where check-in has the expertise and the connections. So Portugal would be another country that we have a very big presence in terms of clients. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So in Portugal, we have SAF. The translation would be Service of Migration and Frontiers, which is basically the Portuguese Immigration Border Service. So in Portugal, it's a bit different in comparison to Spain and Italy. The nationals or the ID holders, the residents of Portugal, are not obligated to submit their data. Those the property managers don't have to claim their data and send to SAF. And another thing, the gas information should be reported to SAF within 3 days of the gas check-in date. So in Spain and Italy, it's much more stricter within 24 hours, but Portugal is more flexible on this matter.
I mean, more flexible, but still very strict, right? Because it's, yeah. Cool.
Well, in comparison, the amount of data that they are requesting, yes.
Cool. So yeah, so that's just high level in three countries we wanted to focus on, just because I would say, it's the three countries that we in Check-in have the highest number of check-ins being completed and of properties that use our software every month. But of course, in regards to other countries that have the obligation, we're connected to, I believe, over 16 authorities. So
Yeah.
here's a quick list of some of them. I don't know, Aris, if you want to just highlight anything here, or I can just kind of go through the list.
You can just go through the list.
So we have, of course, all the German region here. So Germany, Switzerland, Austria. Um, Greece is also a recent connection that we have just.
So, if I may have a quick input about Greece, if you don't mind. Okay, so in Greece, as we can see, the gas reporting is not a mandatory requirement. However, it's mandatory, it's very mandatory and very strict about invoicing.
Yeah.
So all the property managers have to send the invoicing data to My Data, to a portal called My Data, which is like the local enforcement responsible for the tourism control. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, and then a few other countries here. I think the next image, which I'm gonna jump straight to it, Alice, if you don't have any comments here, is a little more
No.
visually clear for everyone. So here's a summary of different regions across the world where we are where we have this high level of expertise. As you can see, there's even countries in South America like Colombia that also have the mandatory police registration and this required sending, right? So I think this is a cool image to see. And then the first piece of resource that we wanted to mention with you guys is, as you know, we have these teams specialized in different regions and in different markets. We have a full legal guide for all of these countries that we mentioned previously. So if anyone is interested in downloading the PDF version of this, just feel free to let us know, and we can share this piece of content with you guys. It has, all the details from, how to get set up in the local platform, the frequently asked questions, the specifics of each market, and things like that. So I don't know if you have anything to add here, Aris, but these resources are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are. Actually, we did a lot of study on each of them, especially the ones about legal obligations in UAE, Spain, and overall the new gas registration. I would like to ask if you can go to the previous slide, because I would like to point out a couple of things.
Let me go here. Go for it.
Okay, perfect. So key thing I would like to mention here that probably the only European countries, Western European countries, which are not yet regulated would be UK, France, and Netherlands, meaning that there is no mandatory police registration of the guest. However, we come across many, many cases that the property managers, and we are speaking about big, solid portfolio owners, they are not even aware that they need to keep the entry form, meaning they still need to collect the gas data and store it somewhere. So this is a part of the compliance. For instance, in UK, there are talks about a new regulation. They are going to make it stricter sometime.
They actually said it was going to be announced this summer, so we'll see if it actually does happen or not. Yeah.
Exactly. Nonetheless, if you are a property manager located in these areas, please collect the gas data and store it somewhere. If you are not using check-in, obviously you can use it in your PMS, but if you come to use check-in, we will automatically do it for you.
Yeah. One comment here, which is something not directly related to this, but something looking at the current, geopolitical situation of the world. As you guys know, the industry, ever since the pandemic, is experiencing very rapid growth. So speaking for Spain, for example, which is, where I'm based and where Check-in originally is from, in 2024, we had 94 million tourists come to Spain, which was a record. And Spain is on pace to become the number one country in the world in terms of tourists received, right? So it's going to pass France, which is currently the number one. And so, this rapid growth, what does it mean? How does that impact us, right? How do we, look at the current geopolitical situation in the world and make a correlation here? And I would simply ask you a question, which would be, do you guys see a future in Europe, in the European Union, or wherever in the world, where there's going to be less regulations, right? With the way that, countries are kind of deglobalizing, and the amount of sanction and restrictions, the tendency is, for these regulations to not go away. And one of the next topics that we're going to speak about is how we take this and we don't make it be a burden, but we can, take advantage of it, and it would force us to become more efficient, to go digital and things like that. So that's then one of the next topics we're going to speak about. But I feel like this is a perfect kind of cliffhanger, just to mention that, right? So I myself don't see a future with where there's going to be less regulation. So it's good to know that we have solutions out there that can help us overcome this. So
Yeah.
so yeah, thank you for that, Alice. It was a good comment. So again, we have all the guides available here. If anyone wants any of the countries in specific or anything like that, just let us know and we will make these available for you guys. Cool. So next topic, we gave a high level overview of the kind of legal part and legal requirements. So I guess we can jump into the actual automations and solutions out there. And of course, in this case, we'll mention a little bit of check-in as well, because that's what we're experts on, Addis and myself. But again, before we jump into it, let's do another quick poll. So the question here is, how are you guys currently handling the guest registration process, the check-in process? How are you guys doing that daily in your operations? So let's give a few minutes here for everyone to answer. And then we'll see.
I'm very curious about the outcome.
Yeah,
Very curious.
I like the polls, man. They're pretty cool. We should.
Yeah, we should definitely implement it in ours.
We should. Again, this is a webinar. Of course, Operto were kind enough to invite us to do this, so they're the ones hosting it. And when we do webinars of our own in check-in, I think this is something we can definitely do. Aris, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Cool. So let's give a couple more seconds for people to answer, and time is up. So let's see what we have here, Aris. We have about 30% of the people say they have it automated, fully automated with a software, whereas 30% said they're not doing anything at all yet. And then we have about a split there with one answer each for people that do it fully manually, and people that have a partial automated process, with spreadsheets and manual entries. Cool. So I guess that gives us a little bit of we have a little bit of everything, which is
yeah.
Cool. So let's get to it. So I will give a little mention here from my side, Adis, and then if you have anything to chime in, just jump in at any moment.
Sure.
So let's start with I think the check-in process itself, right? So this historically has been something that has been done manually, right? And I would say there have been trends and some ways to do it, to digitalize it. It's been happening year over year, especially after the pandemic. Digital has become a lot more accepted in society. So that's what I want to focus on today, right? So starting with the traditional manual process, right? It's more work, right? So it's more work from our side, more work from the guest side. So it just takes more time, which means we're not fully efficient, right? Because we're doing repetitive tasks, of course, which you guys all know. So that leads to longer check-ins. So guests have to wait. It takes more time. There's room for manual error because we're humans, right? And if we're doing things manually, errors can occur. And of course, something that's important, especially here in Europe, is the GDPR risks. So privacy is very big here in Europe. So there's always risks of doing things that are incorrectly, of asking people for certain documents, taking pictures, where do you store it, what's legal, what's not legal. So that's also something that we have to be careful with. So I have here a quote that says, according to Cornell Hospitality Research, that over 50% of guests of the satisfaction drops when they have to do a check-in process that takes more than 5 minutes, right? And as we saw in the poll, lots of us still rely on manual processes, right? So what I want to emphasize here is that not only it's better for us because we become more efficient, right? So less human error, like I mentioned. The process is automated, it's more streamlined. It gives more flexibility for us as a property manager. It gives more flexibility for the guest. I'm speaking about a digital check-in, right? An online check-in. It gives more flexibility to the guest because they can check in whenever it's best for them. And so not only is it best for us because of those things, as we saw, it's also better for the guests because it's a better experience. So those I would say are the two main pillars of why, we should streamline our operations, why we should go digital. 70% of guests prefer not filling out paperwork, of doing it digitally. And that's where most positive reviews come from, which is a key piece in the industry for us, right, against competition and etc. So 90% of the reviews that are left, according to all the check-ins that we have done, right, come from the check-in experience, meaning like, oh, the check-in experience was great. That probability of someone leaving a review is very good in comparison to other things. So if we have a bad experience right off the bat, it has a big harm in the rest of the stay of the guest. So yeah, and then I would say I mentioned some of the benefits, right? This is just repetitive of what I had already said. I would mention something here that better for the guest, better for us as a property manager. We gain time, and what does that allow us to do? And I would say this is the big conclusion here of what I'm trying to say is with this streamlined, we gain time. We can focus as property managers where it really matters. And what really matters? It's expanding our businesses, so acquiring new properties. It's focusing on the guest experience. So if I don't have to waste time filling out papers and doing all the bureaucracy, I can focus on things that would improve the guest experience, right? Which is where we should be focusing on. So I would say those are the main benefits of an online check-in. I don't know if Addis, you have anything else you wanted to mention there, but that's the main point I wanted to come across.
Well, actually, I would like to have my small input here,
Of
especially
course.
on the previous slides. So, in my own experience, traveling a lot, since we are in the travel industry, we also travel a lot.
Yeah. We're also
So,
guests.
yeah. So, to me, happens that because of the manual check-in, well, they try to semi-digitalize it, but they send the email the date of your check-in. So, I had a case just when I was traveling to UAE for a trip, they sent me the email asking to fill in my details when I was already in plane. So this affects a lot, first of all, for the property manager when they are about to receive the gas data, especially when there is a legal compliance in place.
Yeah.
And secondly, that affects a lot your experience because you're on the plane, you have to within a few minutes fill in all the data and send it forward to them. The good thing about going digital is that if we are speaking about short-term industry, usually as a property managers, we previously we wouldn't get our hands on the more specific guest data. When we go digital and we manage it accordingly, not sending the check-in message, the date of the check-in, but previously we are able to obtain a lot of guest data, especially if we are planning to expand our business, have repetitive plans, move them from channels to direct bookings. The gas data eventually is the key, and it's going to be very essential. And that's probably the most accurate way to collect the gas data.
Yeah, the information is power, right? When you have that in your hands, you can use it to your advantage to personalize for upsellings, and we can
Exactly.
even go a little more in detail when we mention the features.
Yep.
So 100%, 100% agree there. Cool. So let's continue. So what are ways of streamlining this, of doing this, right? So we can maybe explain, Aris, in check-in how the online check-in works with us, right? So there
Yeah.
are two ways to do the check-in, right? Which would be fully online or on site. If you still do the check-in on site, with check-in, we have technology such as OCR scanners that will allow you to automatically scan, and that would fill in the documents automatically. It's still not fully automated. It would be semi-automated, but it would give you more efficiency, right? That is, if you still choose to do on-site check-ins. And then the other way would be, of course, with a fully online check-in. That would follow the normal process at check-in, which was what Aris was mentioning before. Once the guest fills in the data, it's automatically sent to the authorities. Something I wanted to mention, Aris, and it's one of the features of check-in, of course, the identity verification. In Spain, for example, if you offer the remote access, right, keyless access to your properties, you're mandated as well by law of doing the identity verification, right? So how does that work with check-in? It's very simple. We have our own software. You simply take a picture of the document, the passport, the ID, and then there are two ways of doing it. So I would say the normal way that we have always been doing it is with a simple selfie. It would do a biometric analysis and it would match the person in the ID with the picture that was taken to see if they match, to see if it's the same person. And what we're actually launching now is the same service, but with a liveness check, meaning you no longer have to take a picture. You would just would look at the camera, and it's the typical of turn your face this way, turn your face this way. It's more accurate. It's a better experience for the guests because they don't have to take any pictures or anything. And it's the way that we're doing this identity verification now. So it's I think something pretty cool. So I don't know if you want to mention something, Aris, or if I can jump.
Yeah, another key feature about the identity verification, not only through collecting the ID, but also going through a liveness verification, is fighting back for chargebacks.
Mhm.
So I know that for many property managers, especially if you are working in a big scale or on a peak season, chargeback is one of main global or general headaches that you are having. Obviously, having all of this even in place doesn't guarantee that you are going to win the chargeback. However, this is going to significantly increase your possibility of winning it because you do all of these steps, you check their ID, do the identity verification, all of that goes in check in. Then, when you face the chargeback, you are able to fight with it, having all of this information, all of this data in your hands. I guess that would be the only input on my side.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of things that this is useful for, right? Uh,
Exactly.
Another example, for example, if you offer the remote access, you can have it set up in the software that the guest only receives the keys, the virtual access to the property once he has filled in the check-in, the document, and has shared all his information. So it's a way for you to guarantee that the person is going to do that, yes or yes, because otherwise they don't have access to the property, right? So it's a way to make sure that you get all the data. So
Another consideration would be properties being vandalized. So I speak with a lot of property managers from UK at the moment. I don't know, we can call it a trend, but every second property manager I speak there, they are having a massive property vandalism actions, and they simply do not know how they are going to face it. Historically, in US in specific, in states like New York, New Jersey, Florida, California, they are also experiencing this a lot. So this could be another way of fighting those back and claiming what rightfully is yours.
yeah, I know that's a recurring topic we hear from the UK for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So Aris, I don't know if you want to just we mentioned already a little bit of the identity verification and the remote
Yeah.
access, but check-in has a lot of other features if you want to quickly just kind of run through it.
Let me highlight those. So I would like to mention tourist taxes. It's enabling us to collect the tourist taxes that we are obligated to collect. So based on the country, it can be a flat fee, it can be a percentage. So we are able to collect all of that. You can set up based on the country that you are in, you can set up the amount that you want to charge and have it directly in your Stripe account. Very important thing, we are directly integrated with Stripe, and using Stripe together with Check-in provides a lot of flexibility when it comes to handling any sort of payments.
Yeah, and this is a little bit, sorry, I just to cut you. This is a little bit like the regulations in the country. So, for example, in Spain, and I always speak about Spain because I'm here myself, the tourist taxes are obligated in some regions of Spain, and in others not. So that's also something that you don't have to worry about, because if you're with Check-in, of course, we have that local expertise of each country and what's obligated or not, right? So
Yeah.
cool. Want me to go to the next slide?
Just a few words about the remote access. Now I'm going to sound a bit like a sales guy. So the cool part about our remote access is that we are able to automatically generate the access keys for the guests, store it automatically within check-in, and based on the conditionals that you select during the account set, the guest will get an access to that. So what I do mean by that, you don't necessarily have to go with every reservation, click on the button to generate the codes. We do it for you.
And then you can choose if you want that to be 24 hours before, 1 week before,
Yeah.
2 weeks before, on the day of. It's very personal, right? And you can have it differently per property if that's what you want.
Exactly.
Cool. Cool.
Next slide. Okay, perfect. I'll cover this if you don't mind, Gabriel.
Go for it.
So yeah, online payments. We are able to handle any sort of online payments. What does it mean? Check-in is a mobile-friendly web application, so there is no app to actually download. And the way that we built it, and overall the philosophy of our company, is that Check-in to be considered first of all as a transactional portal, and it's to be used by the guests before, during, and after their stay. Those we are able to collect any sort of upselling, any sort of payments that you need. I don't know whether it's a booking stay, it's a deposit, or a damage protection. Everything can be handled under one roof with us. This was very sales sounding, I believe.
Oh, I was speaking and I was muted. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. And then yeah, the damage protection part, I think you briefly mentioned it, right? We have ways that you could use this either with a security deposit or the actual, waiver of like an insurance type. And then the upsellings are pretty clear. It's just easy ways to monetize and bring in more revenue with each check-in with each guest, right? So you can do very simple things straight from the app, like I want to offer for X amount of dollars more, a late checkout or an early check-in, or I don't know, pick you up from the airport and bring you to the property, of anything that you want to offer based on your properties and your amenities, right, that you have available. That can be done directly through the software as well. So very high level, that's a little bit of the different features that we wanted to mention. So I guess just to summarize, Aris, we can mention a few like real life examples of some clients,
Sure.
Which is always cool. So I'm gonna mention three. So very quickly, you have a QR code in each one of these where we have done a full interview. Some of these have even a video that you guys can scan. You can read the whole article. You can watch the content. if you're interested about any of these, right? The first one is Interhome, which maybe some of you have heard of. And just to highlight the main benefits, right? That they work with us primarily in Spain and Italy, in both countries. But the main benefits here that they saw when they started using the software is just, of having everything kind of synced, which gave them the benefit of time, right? Which what I was mentioning before is one of the main things. If we have time in our hands, we can have our team focus on what really matters, which is improving the guest experience, expanding our operations, and things like that, right? So yeah, feel free to scan the QR code if you guys want to see the full case in detail. Another one would be Greystar, which is another very big client of Check-in that has been with us for a long time. And again, same key here, efficiency, less administrative burdens, right? Which allows them, and I repeat myself, to focus on what really matters, improving the guest experience, expanding their operations, and dedicating ourselves as business owners, as property managers to improve and enhance our business, right? At the end of the day, it's what everyone is trying to do. So again, the code is there. If anyone wants to see that this case in detail, feel free to scan it. And the third and final example I wanted to mention is of Holido, which is a very, very big operation. And they have a little bit of a different partnership with Check-in. They don't offer check-in directly as like a normal integration to their clients. We're connected via like an SDK, you could say, which means that everything that Check-in offers is like a white label version done through their software. So it's like they have all the features of Check-in inside of them, powered by Check-in. So it's another cool way that we cooperate with businesses that want to, instead of developing in-house, using what Check-in already has. For example, if you're going to market into new countries and you want to take advantage of the legal compliance part that we have mentioned, this is a very, very cool solution and way to collaborate, because then you can solve one of the main pain points of that region, right? So yeah, if anyone wants to hear more about that, feel free to reach out to me and I can share more details as well. So yeah, just to sum up, again, a few highlights of everything that we can do from our side as Check-in, that we can do together with Aperto, if connected with your PMS. And I don't know, Aris, if you want to mention any conclusions here from your side or not.
Well, few key things probably that eventually, if you are speaking about Europe, sooner or later, I believe by 2027, it will be fully regulated, including France, UK, Belgium, Netherlands. We also have these tendencies happening in Gulf region and also in some countries in Asia. So if not now, sooner or later, this would be a topic to which you would need to provide your attention. The other way around is that by digitalizing your check-in process and obtaining guest data, as I mentioned previously, would help to also grow your business. It will take off the administrative burden and it will help in your daily operations. I guess from my side, that would be it.
Awesome. Thank you, Aris. We have here our direct contact information. In the chat, I left as well my personal email if anyone has anything they want to write to me directly. If you guys want any of the guides that we mentioned about the different countries and regulations, feel free to scan that QR code and then you can request it. And other than that, I wanted to just thank the Operto team for having us and to
Yeah.
this
Thank you so much for joining. We do have some time for questions. So if anyone has questions, pop them into the Q&A. and we can cover them live here. Otherwise, of course, just email Gabriel or Eris. I have some questions, if you don't mind. I'll kick it off. I'll
Go
leave
ahead.
our participants to type up their thoughtful inquiries here. I'm actually curious about, we have a lot of folks phoning in from Canada, the United States, even things like hotels or other types of properties. What do you see as the biggest benefits for those guys who are not particularly regulated, but still are considering options like this?
Would you like to go, Gabriel, or I should answer?
No, you can go for it, and then I can
Okay, cool. So the majority of US or American clients coming to us, they want contactless check-in, whether they are hotels or they are short-term rentals. This is on one end. Then we have specific guidebooks, where you can include all the property information, relevant activities, etc. That's also helping to minimize the communication that normally the guest would send to a property manager. So, speaking about US, a couple of years ago, I was attending a panel of speakers, and there was a big property manager from one company, and he said, "For me, the ideal booking is the guest comes to my website, makes the booking, comes, stays, and disappears."
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that you can consider. Another thing, obviously, remote logs, having your guest data if you are facing chargebacks, if you are having your properties vandalized, or if you just want the guest data in order to be able to retain them and make them come to you again, make direct booking. Yeah.
Yeah, the guidebooks that you mentioned first, Adis, is something really cool that we didn't really go over, but it's I would say another way to save a lot of time, especially with repetitive questions, and just to improve the guest journey. So basically, what it is, it's like the name. It's a digital guidebook that's available to the guest, where you can give key assets in a very visual way, user-friendly way, to all the guests, right? So again, you can make that directly available whenever you want. So you can have that available prior to the check-in. You can make it automatically become available post once they have completed the check-in and things like that. So it's fully automated, and it's, I would say, something cool. And then quick comment for anyone that's coming from the check-in side. If you're interested to learn more about Operto, I see that we left here in the chat some contact information as well. So
Sure did. And we would be remiss not to mention that we have recently integrated, obviously, so you can actually access some of the check-in capability within Operto now as well. So reach out if you're interested in that aspect of things as well, or reach out to chat in general, and we can figure out where you would be best served through Operto or directly through check-in. We can look at that. We do have another question as well, Gabriel Eris. What is the biggest mistake most property managers make in Greece's landscape?
So here I would need to have a bit more specifics in regards of Greece landscape. Are we speaking about the legal aspect, the tax aspect, or the business aspect?
I think let's assume we're talking about compliance today.
So the biggest importance here is to keep up with sending the tax details to my data. Many property managers do it manually. As we know, Greece is a seasonal destination, but its season is quite long, from mids of March till almost ends of October, depending on the region. That's their high season. And that's a huge volume of manual work required by the property manager. And I know cases when there have been many human errors into this report sending. To be honest, not sure about the outcome, whether they got penalized or what, but this is probably the key thing to pay a lot of attention and not to miss anything.
All right. And just to clarify, does Checkin help with this?
Yes, as there was in one of our slides, we have an integration with My Data, and we directly send the revenue details to My Data.
All right, excellent. And can I suggest that everyone goes and hits the Checkin link that I just posted in the chat, because Checkin, by the way, is hard to Google. Because you type in Checkin and there's going to be a million pages about a million things related to Checkin.
Yeah.
So hit the link, go and look at the website, find out what these guys do.
A buzzword, right?
It's a great word, but it's hard to Google. Okay, final question for me. You guys obviously integrate with the PMSs to get this reservation data to automate it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you do that with hotel PMSs and short-term rental PMSs?
Yes.
Any favorites?
Oracle, probably. That's the biggest.
Going for the giant. Going for the giant. Okay, I like it. Gabriel, any favorite PMSs?
I would comment here from my side. I would say that just as a fun fact for everyone listening, our current clientele, out of, we showed some big numbers. I would say we're currently about 75% vacation rental property managers and about 25% hotels. Although we've seen a lot of increase recently in the hotel side, but it's just because I guess that's how Checkin originated. We have so many more clients from that side, right? But I would say, Aris, and I will be curious to see what you think, but in the next couple of years, I would say the percentage of hotels and vacation rentals is gonna become more equal just because of the increase that we're seeing in the other segments.
Well, being from sales, I can assure you that that's the case. Right now, we are in touch with more hotels than vacation rentals.
Yeah, so for everyone to know, Aris is more on the sales side of Checkin, and I'm more on the marketing side. So we got completely different viewpoints and things that we do daily. So it's cool to have the view of both.
Excellent. Sure. All right, KC. So you raised your hand. I can't let you speak on here, but if you want, you can type a question in the Q&A section. In the meantime, I will just wrap up here and thank Gabriel and Aris so much for joining us today. This has been an Operate session presented by Operto. Go and check both companies out, or don't. You probably know us already. We will have more of these sessions. I'm not sure when, but we'll announce it. They'll be on the newsletters. They'll be on the socials. We'll let you know. We'll have lots of fun things to talk about. So stay tuned. And I don't see any more. Yeah, I don't see any more questions. So I will say thank you.